guys? It's Billy Pine with Christian Soldier 99. Thanks for tuning in. I want to share a little bit of something that I read today. It was pretty exciting, and it's in Joshua 5. And it's before the Israelites go and destroy Jericho and the walls come down. And it says, Joshua 5:13. Now Joshua was near Jericho. He looked up and he saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" "Neither," he replied, "but as commander of the army of the Lord I have now come." Then Joshua fell face down to the ground in reverence and asked him, "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" The commander of the Lord's army replied, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy." Joshua did so. Now, this is what I want to really emphasize here. Joshua asked this angel, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" He said, "Neither." That's impressive. So imagine how your ministry would be. Imagine how your life would be. Imagine how your testimony would be if everything you did wasn't for people, wasn't for your friends, it wasn't for your enemies, it was for God. Why are you up there singing? All because, I want to make videos and I want to sign a record deal. No, I'm up here because I'm praising God. Why are you over there preaching? Why are you going to all these countries? Oh man, because I want to help these people and this and that. Great. But why? Because I'm going there because God told me to. This angel of the Lord, the army of the Lord, is one of the greatest examples of how we should live our life. What are you doing this for? For God. Period. How great would your ministry, how great would your life be if everything you did was solely for God? Jesus was the greatest example of this. In the Old Testament, this was a great example. Okay, the angel of the army of the Lord. But Jesus comes, all right, and he steps down on this earth and he becomes his greatest testimony. They say many times Jesus speaks with authority. Why? Because he doesn't care what men think. He says, "I only speak what the Father tells me to speak. I only do what the Father tells me to do." If we could grab a hold of that, if we could say, "I am only doing what God tells me to do, and I don't care what man thinks, I don't care what anybody thinks, and I'm not going out there to do this so that I can get likes, so that I can get praise, that I can get money, that I can get position, that I can get fame. No, I'm doing it because God told me to, and I'm doing it for my Father, and I only do what he tells me to do." Many of us talk when we're not supposed to be speaking. Many times God says, "What are you saying? I didn't tell you to say that. Why are you trying to fix that? I didn't tell you to fix that. What are you doing? Did I tell you to do that?" And that takes relationship. That takes time. That takes knowing God. And Jesus knew God. All right. He spent a lot of alone time with God. You know what the coolest thing about Jesus was? Other than what I was saying before, he says, I don't really care what man says. He didn't even care if he had anyone following him. He spoke with such boldness and such authority that there was a moment in his beginning of his ministry. He says, "I am the bread of life. Eat of my flesh and you will live." As a matter of fact, if you look in John 6, okay? And it's in John 6. And it even says, John 6:51, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. This bread is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world." And it says later on in this chapter, in chapter 6:66, it says, "From this time, many of the disciples turned back and no longer followed him." And then he looks at me and says, "Do you not want to leave too?" Jesus asked the 12, and Simon Peter answered him, "Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life." Jesus spoke the truth, and guess what? Sometimes you're left all alone. Jesus was all about left all alone. He had 12 that stayed with him. But many of them left him. Why? Because he didn't care what man thought. He only cared to do the work of the Father. So I want to encourage you in that. Sometimes you're going to do what even Christians, because that's who was following. I mean, the Jews knew the Torah. Today's standard, they would be considered Christian. And he gave them something they couldn't handle. But God told him that. God said it, and he was only speaking what the Father told him to speak. So sometimes, guess what? You're probably going to offend people. Sometimes you're going to lose your friends. Sometimes you're going to have nothing. But it doesn't matter as long as what? You do what God tells you to. Hi, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Also hit that notification button, ring the bell, that way you never miss a new video we upload. Have a great day. God bless.